For authenticity's sake, I demanded they kill all the air conditioning in here. It is August, and we wanted to create the most accurate environment possible.
The arena experience.
Exactly, the true arena experience. We're in what I could legitimately call a wrestling church now, of the past, with one of the architects of what was preached here on a monthly basis to what probably should have been, gauging from building size, about 800 people, but often became 1,500 or 2,000. Todd Gordon, we're in the ECW arena, the former ECW arena, now 2,300 arena. Thank you.
Thank you.
You will be the first edition on the DVD holder's shelf as we're covering 92, 93, but this is actually the series finale because we jumped around years and we covered your history, or the history of what you began, with people like Shane Douglas and Sandman and New Jack, and it would not have happened without Tri-State Wrestling.
It's true.
Is this not a fact?
Absolutely a fact.
What was Tri-State Wrestling in 1992, if I could go back in the time machine?
Tri-State Wrestling was a promotion started by a guy by the name of Joel Goodhart, who did a weekly radio show on the All Sports Talk radio show here in Philadelphia. And being a wrestling fan, the fact there was a wrestling show on the radio, I was like, really? They're like legitimizing wrestling? And so found the show, started tuning in, listening, and he was running 4 mega shows a year at the Civic Center and occasionally spot shows in other areas. And I guess I started out, I contacted him and I said, how can I get involved with this stuff? It sounds phenomenal. I love what you're doing. And I said, one of the first interactions I had with him, I said, I wanted to get someone in my store for a promotion, bring a wrestler in. He said, who do you have in mind? I said, Missy Hyatt. I mean,
everyone had Missy Hyatt on their mind in 1992.
1991, 1991 back
much
then.
Better
she
than
was
92.
Smoking in that era. It was right after she came out of the Texas territories and all.
Right.
Oh my God, she hadn't touched her face yet or any other part of her body, and she was blow away gorgeous. I mean, unbelievable. And so she came to my store, and I have a very refined store, by the way. It's a very nice jewelry store. It's a high-class establishment. And she walked in within minutes. She's laying across my counter in front of me. We're on one side of the counter. The customers, and there she is laying. I said, "Oh my God!" I'm like all shy, like she's sitting there. She's like, "Come on, baby." She was like, "Wow." She was the walking riot already, Missy Hyatt. And then I started doing some advertising with Joel. Then she became a silent partner. I gave him a little seed money because he was struggling and he had literally zero business acumen. I mean, literally zero. And he started doing those Civic Center shows where he would bring in a mega load of talent.
Right.
Anybody who had a name anywhere that he marked out for as a kid, he'd bring in, which I understood the philosophy behind, but on a business level, maybe one guy too. You don't bring in 17, like anybody you can even think of, that's what he did.
Who was his booker?
I assume he was his own booker. I guess he was his own booker. Although most of the talent he brought in of any name value, he would let them do their own finishes and their own booking.
Okay.
I mean, he wouldn't really book it because it was not an ongoing feud kind of deal.
It was just one night.
It was just a one-night, blow-off show kind of deal. And the Civic Center was a huge place to do shows like that. And he did pretty well there, but never was able to, meet the nut.
Now, you telling him, listen, here's your expense column, here's your prop. Do you see if we don't bring in all these wrestlers, we can shorten this column? Are you giving him that?
Yeah, of course I'm telling him that. Because you don't understand the business. I know what I need to draw. I said, okay. I said, you have to have Austin Idol and this one and really to draw? I mean, my God. I mean, when he tried the show when he just had Eddie Gilbert and Cactus Jack, which were 2 big names headlining and nobody else, and they worked 3 times in the same night, he outdrew every other show he did.
Right.
But meanwhile, the next show is Abdullah, this one and then the Sheik, Kebab, all names that I used. But at that point, we were on television. We were a much, bigger growing product.
Right. The city of Philadelphia, a wrestling city?
The city of Philadelphia is a very, very unique city. Yes, it is a wrestling city. We were probably the ones here that got the NWA when it was, as it was merging, becoming WCW, to start coming east all the time. They drew here, they never drew anywhere else. And here you couldn't bullshit anybody. Mm. I mean, the people in this city, it's one thing to say you can work them, and you can in a wrestling persona, but you can't bullshit them.
Right.
You can't give them a product that they know is bullshit. They're not going to just take any paddle and shove down their throat. I mean, they'll still go to the Eagles games when they're 2-14, but if they see somebody who's not trying out there, that's the guy they're after. The guys who are trying their hardest, no matter how much they suck, at least they're putting the effort. They respect the effort. It's a nitty-gritty city in that regard. And in fact, I can remember once being at the Civic Center, which we talked about for years when Shane Douglas came here. It was the Dynamic Dudes against Freebirds. Freebirds are the heels, Dudes are the baby faces. And this, at that time, it just didn't happen. They booed every piece of offense that the Dudes got in. That had never happened before. Right. And they're in the ring, and you could see them like they were shaking. Like Shane was young, and Johnny Ace, I guess, was young, but they were shaking, and the Freebirds were just laughing.
Yeah.
They were like, oh my God, anything the Freebirds did, the place exploded. Any offense, and this is what they do now when they're trying to like piss on Roman Reigns or something. Right. But then it was the furthest thing from that had never been seen before.
Right.
And that's the kind of fan base we had here.
The heel town.
It was a heel town, but you could be a heel baby face, but you couldn't be a good-looking baby face. You couldn't be the matinee idol baby face. That would never fly in Philadelphia.
You said you're talking to him and you're trying to lend a little business acumen to someone who didn't have any. Do you realize that it's over here?
Oh, I realized that it was over because all of a sudden he wasn't returning calls that last 2 weeks. He didn't show up. I guess he did show up at the radio show, but when I did speak to him, I said, you're not going to be able to, the money to bring these people in. I'm not giving you more. My investment is where it is. That's where that's where I'm leaving it at. But how are you going to do the show? You got to give the people their money back. He said, don't quit till the last minute. You don't know people can walk out. I said, Joel, you don't have the money to pay the wrestlers. You don't have the money to pay, you give the guy. And he didn't, and he disappeared. And it really left this bitter taste in the fans' mouths here, right, who really had supported him. I mean, they really, they cared about what he was trying to do there. And around here, like I said, when you show the effort, you care, they're with you. Yeah. They just said, hey, don't worry about it. They'll pay for this one show. We'll give you extra. Just let's keep this thing alive. Let's keep it going.
But you can't fuck them.
Yeah, but don't fuck them. Just don't take their money and walk away, and then disappear, not take a phone call. Right. Which is basically what he did. And he, I guess he felt shame or he was disappointed that it didn't go over and it was a failure. But sometimes you got to man up and say, listen, I tried. Right. And they'll respect you for trying. Right. But don't just put your tail between your legs and run away. That was the worst mistake you made. After he went out of business and left, I got a phone call from Bob Ortiz. Bob Ortiz was the ring announcer. Everybody knows Bob Ortiz. He's just one of those guys you just gotta love. Greatest guy in the world. And he said, can I come talk to you and a couple of guys? I said, what about it? He said, can I just talk to you? I said, okay, come to my office. After work one day, he showed up with Larry Winters and a guy by the name of Stevie Wonderful, who was a sound man. Larry was a wrestler. Bob was a ring announcer for Joel. Comes in, they said, we would really did not see this die. Joel was running these bar shows. Let's keep it going. We can do this. If we all gather together, we can do it. But we can't get a license. None of us can afford a license. You have to have something of value to put up as a bond in order to get your license as a promoter. Mm-hmm. You've got a house. Well, I wasn't going to put up. I wasn't losing the house. I mean, just to say, in order to get the license, you had to have some kind of a bond.
No, I know the collateral.
Well, it was like $1,000. It wasn't even an expensive bond. It was like $1,000 bond or something. Wow. That's all it took. And they couldn't come up with that. So I said, I got a business here. Oh, come on, it's once a month. We're doing this at Mike Schmidt Sports Bar. We got all the things ready. We got the wrestlers. We got the sound. We got all the stuff. We just didn't know where to put the show on. We just don't help us put the show on. I said, nah. Went back home, talked to my wife. Kids were too little to talk to them about it. Wrestle with, no pun intended. I said, oh, what the hell?
How does Paul Heyman come into this company?
Quietly.